We got anime to watch and games to play. MysticSage and Zora are back up again, and I'm uploading every week on Sage and every day on Zora. So if you enjoy anime and gaming content, be sure to check out MysticSage and Zora's link in the description below and in the iCard above. Also, shameless merch plug, we got mugs on sale. The link for that will be below as well. With that said though, I hope you guys enjoy the video. Welcome back to How Strong Was a Pokemon in-game. In the last episode, we had covered how good Electrode was on the channel, but today we'll be looking at one of the strongest Kanto Pokemon, being Dragonite, to see how strong Dragonite is in-game. Before we get into how strong Dragonite was though, let me remind you guys on how I'll be analyzing it in the games first. I'll be talking about how well Dragonite does in important battles, such as the rival, evil teams, gym leaders, etc., along with the moves it gets and the game availability. If you guys enjoyed this series and want more of it, leave a like down below and comment which Pokemon you'd like to see next. With that said, let's get right into the video. Starting off in Generation 1, you can catch a Dratini for this conquest in the Safari Zone by using a Super Rod found on Route 12. It has a 25% encounter rate among Super Rod encounters, but you'll have a tough time catching it in Safari Balls. You'll have an approximately 6.6% chance to catch Dratini this way, so hopefully you'll have good luck before one runs away. On the bright side, you can actually get to Fuchsia City surprisingly early in your run, so even though this is only a level 10 to 15 encounter, depending on the version, you can use it as early as after Vermilion's gym. Obtaining Dratini at this portion of the game, instead of the typical point most people would get to Fuchsia, is actually important for one specific gym leader, being Erica. Erica's gym struggles greatly to damage Dratini or Dragonair depending on if you evolve it prior. However, you will only have Slam and Wrap unless you teach it TMs beforehand. Luckily, you can buy something like Ice Beam and Celadon, which you can obtain by buying the girl on the rooftop one of each drink from the vending machine in the department store. With this, you'll have an actually efficient way to get past Erica. Dragonair is still a neutral option against most of Kanto's other gyms. However, this will be a great asset against Blaine. Dragonair can learn Surf, which you'll have by this portion of the game anyway, making Blaine a piece of cake. By the E4, or at least during it, you should finally obtain a Dragonite, which, while it dislikes taking on Lorelei, you should at least have a neutral or good matchup against the rest of the E4. Luckily for you, even Lance won't have a great matchup, as his dragons all at best have Dragon Rage. However, in yellow, be careful, as Dragonite and Dragonair have Ice-type options to hurt you significantly. Finally, your rival the champion will be up. As long as you don't choose Charmander, it should be a breeze. If you do, you just need to keep in mind, Blastoise has Blizzard, but otherwise, this should be a very easy final battle. On to Pokemon Gold, Silver, and Crystal. You can obtain Dratini or Dragonair on Route 45, or in the Dragon's Den, by either fishing with a Good Rod or Super Rod on Route 45. Or, you also have the option to Surf, as well as fishing with one of those rods in the Dragon's Den. I would recommend using the Super Rod route, as this gives potential to not only the highest level Dratinis, but even to a 10% chance at a Dragonair, making it the quickest way to having Dragonite. Your Dratini or Dragonair will lack any Dragon options outside of Dragon Rage until you beat Claire, so you'll miss out on any options for that fight. You can, however, teach it either Blizzard from the game corner or Icy Wind from beating Price for something to help you with this battle at least. As far as the E4 goes, you should be careful of Will's Jinx, along with Lance's Dragonite. Luckily though, unless you're overleveled and have a Dragonite by this portion, Dragonair actually matches up better since you don't need to worry about being weak to rock attacks, from things like Lance's Aerodactyl or Bruno's Machamp. For Kanto, you should have a fairly good matchup for Dragonair, since you have type resistances against gyms such as Erica, Surge, and Blaine. However, just because Misty is a water-type gym, doesn't mean you don't need to worry, since she has a lot of ice-type attacks. Blue's gym should be fairly easy, since besides Rhydon, most of his team can't really hurt Dragonite, which by that battle at least, you'd actually have. Finally, you'll have Red, which you should be able to pressure pretty well, besides the Blastoise, which, again, just like with your rival in Kanto, will have Blizzard. Otherwise, Dragonite should yet again carry you through another final boss fight. Dragonite is actually unavailable in Hoenn, and unavailable until post-game in Sinnoh and Unova. For Fire Red, Leaf Green, and Heartgold, Soul Silver, nothing really changes, since despite new moveset additions, you don't actually have any new matchup changes due to how varied your TMs were in the original games to make up for a lack of stab options. The only differences are just in Pokemon levels, but nothing else really changes matchup-wise. In Kalos, however, you can obtain Dratini or Dragonair on Route 21, depending if you use a Good Rod or Super Rod to fish. By this point in the game, you can not only have a Dragonite in time for the E4, You also will have it in time for your final battle against Kalem or Serena. Your easiest matchup is if you choose Chespin, since you only have a remotely bad matchup against Altaria, which you can probably get past anyway. If you choose Froakie, you have to worry about Greninja having Ice Beam. And if you choose Froakie, you have to worry about Vaporeon having Aurora Beam. As far as the Elite Four goes, you'll probably have an easy time against Malva, but while you can definitely work around the other members in the champion, you have to worry about matchups such as Steel from Wickstrom, which will resist your stabs. Seabold, who has coverage on every Pokemon for Dragonite that is super effective, as well as Drasna and Diantha, who have strong offensive options that match up super effectively. Dragonite can definitely hold its own here with the right movesets in your TMs. However, it will definitely struggle against all of these. The combination of Earthquake, Thunderbolt, Wing Attack, and Dragon Claw would be the most optimal moveset for the Elite Four, as this should handle everything neutral at worst, if not super effectively. But you will still need to be very careful when using Dragonite here. You still are unable to catch the Dragonite line in the ORAS remakes. So next up, we have the Alola region. You can obtain Dratini and its evolution line in Vast Pony Canyon in only Pokemon Sun and Moon, as the evolution line is available until the post-game in the sequels. You can fish for a chance at Dratini or Dragonair, which means you'll have this in time for your Totem Kameo battle, as well as a few battles in the endgame. While I wouldn't recommend using it in the Totem battle due to Dragonite being outclassed by Kameo, you definitely still can damage it with Dragon Tail or Dragon Rush if you overlevel a bit to level 47. Just keep in mind that Dragon Tail is a negative priority attack though. You will also have a Dragonair in time for your Lusamine Ultra Space fight, which you have a fairly good matchup against everything besides Clefable. On the way to the Elite Four, you have your battles against Gladion and Hau coming up. When fighting Gladion, you really need to worry about Weavile. Meanwhile, Hau, as long as you didn't choose Rowlet, should be a fairly easy battle. By the Elite Four, you should hopefully have a Dragonite, which, however, just like in Kalos, you actually struggle due to coverage most of the opposing Pokemon have. Unlike Kalos, however, you won't have access to Earthquake before fighting the E4, which makes Olivia's fight a nightmare even if you teach Dragonite Surf, as you still struggle against Pokemon like Relicanth and Probopass. The optimal moveset here would probably be Brick Break, Wing Attack, Stone Edge, and Dragon Claw, but it will still be a very deadly set of battles. Outside of Olivia as a whole, you still have to fight opponents such as Skarmory, which would wall this moveset, Crabominable, which has Ice Hammer, Frostlass, which will know Blizzard, Alolan Ninetales, which hard beats pretty much any Dragonite possible, and if you chose Litten, you also need to deal with Primarina now. Between the Hau and Kukui battles, the ideal starter choice would be choosing Popplio, so you can avoid Primarina in both battles, while still actually having a solid support piece for the matchups Dragonite hates in the E4. However, you can probably make do with any starter. In Let's Go Pikachu and Eevee, your matchup should still be fairly similar to the original Kanto games. However, there is actually one notable change. In order to catch Dratini and Dragonair in these games, you need to obtain either Surf or the Sea Skim technique. You can obtain the Sea Skim technique in Fuchsia City, just outside of the Safari Zone. From here, you can go to Route 10 and try to obtain a Dratini or Dragonair in the water as a rare encounter. Despite a lack of Ice Beam for Erica, you still have Dragon Tail and Dragon Rage by this portion, so nothing really actually changes for this matchup or any future matchups in all honesty in these games from here. Finally, we get into the Sword and Shield games. In Sword and Shield, Dratini is only available in the Crown Tundra, and you need all 8 badges to catch even one if you have the Crown Pass, as its minimum spawn rate is level 60. When in the Crown Tundra, however, you can find it in Balamir Lake, at somewhere between 60 to 70, depending on if you encounter Dratini, Dragonair, or Dragonite. All of them have extremely low encounter rates, with Dragonair and Dragonite being weather dependent to find it all. When you find one, however, you should be able to evolve it in the Dragonite fairly easily in time for the end of your adventure at least. Should you catch a Dratini, it will actually be fairly over-leveled even as a Dratini, let alone if you evolve it into a Dragonite, which it already is past the level necessary for. Dragonite matches up well against Marnie, besides her G-Max Grimmsnarl, as well as Hop, besides his Corviknight, and if you chose Grookey, his Inteleon. However, you'll be over 10 levels above both of these, so these battles should be very carefree matchups. In the next section of the tournament, you'll take on Bede's team, whose team of fairies will give you a bit of trouble, but again, you'll be fairly over-leveled as his ace is 53. As far as your other battles in this portion of the tournament go, Nessa's only threatening Pokemon are Barraskewda and G-Max Dreadnought, which you're still very overleveled for. B and Alistair's teams should both be effortless, and for Raihan, you can pretty easily spam dragon attacks for most of these options, with the most threatening being G-Max Duraludon. which by now you will still be about 7 or 8 levels over due to the opposing trainers you'd have gained experience from beforehand in this tournament. When taking on Rose, you'll finally have a matchup you may need to try a bit against, as his team should start almost catching up to your Dragonite. However, if you pack on Fire Punch ahead of time, you'll breeze right past this fight as well. Luckily, by the Leon fight, you'll only be on par. So this will actually require a bit of strategy, as it does have an Aegislash, a Dragapult, a Haxorus, and finally, G-Max Charizard with Rockfall that will all cause problems for you. However, Dragonite can fairly easily tailor a moveset of Breaking Swipe, Fire Punch, Rock Slide, and the last move only matters if you chose Sobble, which in that case should be Aqua Tail, as that is your best way to damage Rhyperior. If you chose any other starter, that last slot shouldn't matter, as you have 2 strong ways to hit Mr. Rhyme, and for Seismitoad, you don't get any grass options, so your best option is clicking Breaking Swipe for that anyway. Well, that wraps up how strong Dragonite was in-game. I hope you guys did enjoy this as much as I had. Despite being a Pokemon you can catch during so many games, there's a surprising amount you can't encounter Dratini or its evolutions until you become champion. So there wasn't really a lot to cover here for it. However, what do you guys think about Dragonite in-game? Comment your thoughts down below and let me know what Pokemon you want to see next. So with that said, thank you to everyone for watching the video. Huge thanks to my phenomenal team and the amazing art done each week by Danny the Demon. I couldn't do all this without them. If you all enjoyed the video and want to see more content like this, be sure to leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Be sure to leave a comment too, as it really helps us out. I also do other content on my Twitch, where I stream Genshin Impact, Mystic Zora, where I do Pokemon Let's Plays and other gaming content, and of course MysticSage, where I do all anime content. Right now, I'm focusing on Inuyasha and Yashahime, so if you're interested in that, be sure to check it out. If you'd like to support me even further than that, check out my Patreon. Whether it's a $1 tip to get early thumbnail access, or the $10 tier to get cool perler bead charms and a shoutout. There's tons of reasons to join today. These lovely people did, and I thank them all so much for their support. It really means the world to me. I think I'm gonna wrap this up though. I'm Mr. Umbreon, and I will see you all next time with some more amazing Pokemon content.